Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers, sisters, viewers, friends of Bikra TV. Welcome to the first edition of Real Talk after the holy month of Ramadan. I pray you all had a wonderful month of Ramadan. It has been spiritually uplifting for you and everybody else, and that Allah accepts all your ibadat and all your zikr and all the sacrifices and everything that you have done to make your life and everybody else's life much, much better than it was before that. And that you had a wonderful Eid with your family and friends, and that this month has spiritually uplifted you. So it has actually transformed you, helped you transform your life to become a better Muslim as we move forward towards the next Ramadan, inshallah. There were many, many people with us last Ramadan that were no longer with us today. May Allah give them the highest place in Jannah and their family's sabr. I mean, one of my dear friends, his daughter, on the very last day of Eid in Medina, woke up, wanted to get up, set the alarm to go for tahajjud and never woke up. Very young lady, 40 years old, was an alima, taught deen in the masjids and in the Battery area. So may Allah give them family sabr as well. As we move towards this new year after the Ramadan, I'm sure many of you will have been, during the month of Ramadan, thinking about and wondering about what has been going on in Gaza with the brothers and sisters who are constantly being killed. And we saw this in the last couple of weeks as well, that hospitals have been attacked, ambulances have been attacked, journalists have been attacked, 9 journalists were killed, 15 medical staff who were traveling in a convoy of ambulances were killed, and now the Israeli IDF is now saying that they were not following procedure and they had no precondition agreement to go where they were going. Prior to that, the argument was that they were not showing any of their red lights, so it was not seen as an emergency convoy, and therefore that it was attacked. Over the past month, I think every human rights and NGO has agreed that more than 50 to 60,000 people have been killed. Many, many children amongst that. Many, many adults and elderly people have also lost their lives, and thousands have lost their possessions and their homes. And this atrocity, as has been called, and the genocide, as many organizations have deemed it, is still going on. Over the last few weeks, we have seen that no aid is going in, and no medical aid, although some trickle has been allowed to go in very recently. And is this the combination of the geopolitics between Israel and Trump, the new America that we are facing, which has now plunged the whole of the world into turmoil following Mr. President Trump's announcements about tariffs that are going to affect all countries supplying goods to America, and he's making America great again, which all pundits, particularly pundits who are financial gurus, are saying is going to have a devastating effect, not just on American citizens, but around the world as well. So to talk about all these issues around geopolitics, and particularly what is happening in Gaza, because I've been watching BBC on and off, and I've noticed that the BBC has not really been covering much of what is going on in Gaza, whereas I see that ITV actually does cover a bit more about what is happening in Gaza than the BBC. The BBC was seen as our national news anchor, that they reflected the news of what is happening around the world more accurately, and it seems like that they're not currently doing so. Now, I'm not sure what the reason behind that is. So I'm getting a bit of my information from other sources. I'm not on social media, although I'm WhatsApp, but again, there's a lot of activity going on social media. Now, we have seen that as soon as President Trump was elected, it seems like Israel has been emboldened, that they have got this additional energy to try and do whatever they want with Gaza and the people of Palestine. And the Arab states or the Muslim states have been very silent and completely absent in trying to tackle some of those issues. So I want to talk about this issue and how the effects of President Trump is likely to have on the world. We've already seen the fact that he's shut off the aid program from the United States throughout the world, which is having a devastating impact across the world, particularly in Africa and in the Middle East as well, because millions of pounds have been stopped from going to people who desperately need it. And in South America, he's now obviously cut off all aid to South America, and we know that around the world there are destitute people, including South America and other parts of the world. So there is this huge change that is happening that is going to affect the Muslim community one way or the other, whether we like it or not. And we need to be aware of what is coming down the line. And to discuss these issues, I have my very dear friend who's been on this program. In fact, I think he should be taking over this program for me. Maqsood Ahmed, who is the chief executive of the Hope Academy. Maqsood and I have known each other for many, many years. As I've said before, he was the race equality director in Kirklees in Huddersfield, covering Batley and Dewsbury as well, and then moved on to the Home Office, has worked in the prison services as executive director and the health service. And latterly he worked at the British Heritage Museum, which is something that, you know, I've always said, and particularly now, it's spring holidays, I would urge every parent, if you get the chance, please take your children to the British Heritage Museum in Manchester. You will be amazed at some of the Islamic information that is over there that I'm sure your child would really, really benefit from. So Maqsood, after that very long intro, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, welcome back. Happy Eid Mubarak to you.
Wa alaikum salam. And
you had a wonderful Ramadan, I hope.
Yes, a fantastic Ramadan.
The family well?
Family very well, family doing very well.
Good.
Excellent Eid. It was dampened for me, to be honest with you, because of the issues, international issues.
Right.
Although it's always hard to celebrate when you see others suffering in one sense.
Yes,
so
exactly.
it wasn't the same for me as it would have been, say, 3, 4, or 5 years ago. Even then, there was
the
lots
joy
of
was
suffering.
taken away.
The joy was taken away, and it continues to be taken away, to be honest with you, from that side. But alhamdulillah, from my side, on a personal side, it's been a really, really reflective month. And it's nice to see the Muslim community coming together, going for Taraweehs. There is that unity that comes together on a Ramadan month, which should really stay for the next 11 months, but sadly, it doesn't always.
You hope that people will continue.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me again.
No, welcome. I mean, obviously, you're an analyst, political analyst. You've been very active on Palestine issues, and I know you're on the group of Palestine that is fighting for the cause of freedom for the people of Palestine. I mean, you see what is happening at the moment. As I say, 9 journalists were killed. 15 medical personnel were basically what they're saying, were butchered in a way. Right? They were traveling in convoy with the, in emergency vehicles, going to help people out. A hospital was bombed 2 weeks ago, which killed a number of patients. And these IDF claimed that they were targeting a Hamas person. But in that targeting, they've injured and killed other people as well. And I know that the World Health Organization and others have condemned Israel for what they have done. And we, as I say, over 50 to 60,000 people have already been killed. Thousands have been displaced, they've lost their homes. Many, many children and elderly people have been killed as well and injured, and the medical facility is devastated, right? And, we see this happening, and we've seen many, many people like yourself and others protesting in this country against what is going on. Yet our government seems to be totally oblivious to it. How do you read, what do you think is happening on a national, international level? Is there collusion going on between some politicians to try and keep the state of Israel in the state that it is?
I think there is every organization, every political party gets influence. Are you with me in a sense on it? So this is no difference. I always say that any group, any nation that can control 3 areas will control basically the agenda. So if you can control the politics, and if you can control policy, and if you can control the media, those 3 areas, you could be able to do well. Are you with me in that side of it? And I think you are right in the sense, and people are right, if you look at BBC and you look at the British media and the American media, and if you look at the way they're reporting on Palestine, it's been absolutely abysmal. Are you with me in a sense? Up to a stage where you think, is this the independent broadcasting that we used to know about BBC? I grew up in Great Britain, and I always thought the BBC was a far independent broadcasting channel than anybody in the world. Till the Palestinian issue came up and started to remind people, actually, they are very selective in when they want to be independent. And I think the politicians are also very selective on human rights, very selective on who they want to support when it comes towards it. But there's definitely anyone who can influence in those 3 areas. And I think, in fairness to the Israelis have been working on with Americans, the USA and the European partners, as they call them, they're very, very strong relationship there, without a shadow of a doubt. But we haven't done that, whereas the Muslim nations, for example, they have no influence at all.
Oh, exactly.
They have no influence whatsoever on an international level.
And yet, people like America and Britain and Europe rely on the resources.
Of course they do.
Of the Muslim world, particularly from the Middle East.
It's a win-win for USA.
Yeah.
They rely on resources from Saudi Arabia and UAE and the others. They get the resources. But the UAE and Saudi Arabia doesn't get anything back except saying, if you can remain silent, you'll be fine. You'll survive in your positions. And I think this power hold on Saudi Arabia and the Middle East is very dangerous for not only for Muslims, but it's very dangerous for democracy around the world.
Why do you think, I mean, this has been going on for the last 40, 50 years or so. When Shah Faisal was there, he stood up to America.
Yeah.
And America sort of backed down. Do you feel that the leaders that we have at the moment in all these nations are so emboldened to people like President Trump and others that they are, like you say, they're afraid of taking these hard decisions that could protect the Muslim Ummah across the world?
Yeah, because see, what's happened, in my opinion, the strategy has been is this divide and rule strategy is still operational in 2025 from the Americans and the Europeans. Whereas the Europeans have set up structures and mechanism that helps the Europeans and the United States, and rightly so. There's nothing wrong with that, Iqbal Bhai. Are you with me? If, my challenge to the Arab leaders and the Muslim leaders is do what United States politicians are doing for their country. They should do the same thing for their countries and their population. There's an absence in that passion for Arabs. How can you, I mean, I'm not a Palestinian, I'm not an Arab, but I can feel for, when I see babies, beheaded babies and being blown up recently, and you see, human beings being blown up, hospitals being bombed, schools being bombed, and women and children and so forth. There's only so much you can take as a human being. So it's very, very disheartening in one sense with regards to what's been happening for nearly 2 years. But the Palestinian issue has been the benchmark for equality and fairness around the world. And I think there has been consciousness within the population around the world of what's happening. They can see what's going on. And they have started to question America. They started to question the Europeans. And they've started to question the Arab leaders, saying what is happening in this area? Why is it that certain lives are far more important than somebody else's lives?
They're more valuable.
Yeah. So, for example, why is it the Ukrainian children, women, men lives are far more valuable than the Palestinians, women, children lives? With regards to
definitely, yes. That's the impression.
That's the issue.
That's the reality in some cases.
That's the reality. That's the fact. That social media keep highlighting. So I'm afraid you can't, no matter what Israelis are saying that, they didn't have the lights on or they didn't have that. It's becoming a stage where people are not believing the Israelis anymore. So there is a knock-on effect. Saying you can do whatever you want to say, people are not going to believe you.
I mean, it's like the impact of, the 2 MPs who went to Israel.
That's another example.
With a group of other MPs who were returned back.
Fact-finding.
Yeah, and Emily Thornberry on Laura Kunzberg's program said that this is totally acceptable. And the Foreign Secretary said that as well. But we've not heard, and the leader of the opposition actually said that Israel has the right to return people back. Yeah,
absolutely. She's gone the opposite.
Exactly.
In other words, she's supporting a foreign nation over the MPs, so the British MPs, in a sense, members of Parliament,
so
which was shocking to me in a sense of it, that she believes a foreign nation to say that whatever they said, and they're not really provided the facts yet. They just said it's going to be hate speech. What hate speech did they make?
Exactly.
So we got into a situation where our own politicians and leader of the opposition actually is on very dangerous lines, where she's going around supporting a foreign nation against her own member of Parliament. Doesn't matter what political colours she has. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sure people listening at home will find the discussion, the debate we're having of interest. And I'm sure there's many, many people sitting at home wondering, what can we do in these difficult and challenging times? How can we support the people in Gaza and in Palestine? And I know people are sort of fundraising throughout the world. But so as somebody said to me the other day, that there's very limited aid going through, and it's trickled, and it's very strongly controlled, and there's no doubt about that, that Israel will only let in a certain amount of aid that comes through. And yet all these organizations are collecting money left, right and center. And where is that money going? And I know Al-Khair have been done some amazing work in the past, and they continue to do so as well. But there is a genuine question that people are asking. So if anybody wants to ask any questions or share their thoughts, the phone number is 01274214299. Please call in, and we can hear what your ideas are, your thoughts are. And I'm going to move to what the Muslim community in this country can do. Now, when we had the Friends of Aqsa people here, they actually said that the most effective campaign can be as Maqsood says, political campaign, but also an economic campaign, which is boycotting certain products. Now, it's not boycotting anything and everything, but you target it. And if I can remind colleagues, I was very actively involved in the protests against South Africa, and I had the fortune of meeting Nelson Mandela on 3 occasions in my life, and those are some of the most memorable and important occasions that I've enjoyed. And he said this very clearly many times, even before he came here, that until the people of Palestine is free, nobody else is free in this world. Now the boycott campaign for South Africa actually proved itself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, Maqsood, you were involved in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
They targeted certain particular organizations, like Barclays, like Shell, and others, and they did that. Now, what Friends of Aqsa have been saying, that boycott Coca-Cola, yet I see every day, unfortunately, Muslim families coming out of supermarkets,
absolutely,
carrying cases of Coca-Cola. Why do you think the Muslim community is not really engaged with this? Why is this disconnect?
I think there's still a lot of work needs to be done within particularly in our grassroots community, in some of the communities. The people who are aware, like yourself, myself, we go out of our way to find out information. But we do have a section of a community that actually don't go out of their way to find out. They're not on social media, they're not on TikTok, they're not on certain things. Are you with me? And they are the ones that basically are still not aware of the impact it can have if they boycott Starbucks, if they boycott Coca-Cola or McDonald's and the others, like you and I do. I mean, I just come back from Hajj last year, in a sense, and I was shocked that in Saudi Arabia, most of the drinks were Coca-Cola.
Oh, yes.
Most of the drinks were Fanta. Most of the drinks were McDonald's. McDonald's, the queues for McDonald's. The queue, where we would be in the West, we are boycotting more than what we are in Saudi Arabia or in UAE or anywhere else. So the thing is that it's again comes down to the leadership. The reason why the South African campaigns and boycott worked is because nations, leaders joined in. Are you with me? Eventually they joined in. Everybody started doing it. But our government hasn't gone down that route, basically.
Oh, the Muslim governments as well.
The Muslim governments as well.
Yeah,
so
in
it's
particular.
not in particular. So Muslim governments have not gone down that route. Even Pakistan government has not gone down that route. Malaysia government, Turkey government, you name it, they have not gone down that route. That's the least they could do, is actually boycott within their own. That would have a massive impact.
Or put huge tariffs on McDonald's in their own countries.
There's ways of doing things. So the people, majority of the people are doing it who are conscious. The second and third generation are definitely doing it. Are you with me? The ones who are very savvy on technology and things like that. They're the ones who are actually telling people now where we're up to onto it. But there is still a section of community that actually don't rely on the social media.
Is that
and you see that. I mean, I see sisters in hijab, for example. And I'm not saying brothers don't do it, but I see sisters in hijab. They'll be sitting in where there is, drinking Coca-Cola. They'll be sitting in Starbucks having a tea, coffee, like if nothing's happened.
Exactly, yeah.
Like there's nothing going on. And you're thinking, where are these sisters living? And there are some brothers who do the same thing. So
now, this is a very important point. I mean, do you feel our mosques have actually grasped the campaign? Now, one of the difference in the South African campaign was that churches actually took an active part.
Yes, they did.
The Christian churches took an active part in promoting boycotting certain South African industries, and financial sector. Now, do you feel, and I've not seen any evidence that our mosques have actually captured this campaign?
So I don't know about
run with it.
So I don't know about Dewsbury. I can only talk about the Rochdale Council Mosque. We just had an iftar that they organised, and you could see on the dinner tables that there was non-coke from that. There were alternative cokes. Islam cola, the other cola. That there's plenty of offsprings now that the alternatives are there. So that was pleasing to see in a sense on it. So there is some movement that's taking place from organisation. Some of our groceries, the Haji's groceries, the other Allen Brothers and so forth, they are doing the same things. Are you with me? They're not stocking those brands anymore. So there is making a difference.
Yeah, most of the restaurants in Bradford.
But is everybody doing it? I don't think they are.
Well, I'm talking about individual families.
Individual families, I think, again, it comes back to, in my opinion, it's whether you're conscious of the issues of human rights or you're not. And we still sadly got people saying, I'm okay, I'm getting food on my table, there's nothing to worry about, are you with me? And they're not really bothered what's happening outside. The only problem with that is that if the Palestinians can't get fairness and justice, then injustice is going to come to UK and injustice is going to come to Europe. In fact, it's already happening.
It's happening, yes, yes.
It's already happening. There are certain words we can't use. There are certain phrases we can't use. There are certain clothes we can't wear anymore. Are you with me? In a sense. So we are already being controlled in what you can say, what you can't say.
I mean, obviously, these issues are really important to many, many people, not just in this country, but across the world, particularly people of Palestine and Gaza and around the world as well. I hope you have enjoyed the discussion, the debate that we've been having. I would love to hear from people who might be watching this program. So if you want to, please ring in and share your thoughts with us. In the meantime, don't go away. Take care, have a break, have a tea, have a coffee, have a faluda, whatever it is that you enjoy. But take care, I'll be back with you soon. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.